Retirement is often seen as a destination, but we believe it's an opportunity to pursue your passions, realize your dreams, and live a purposeful life. Great decisions, incredible lives. Retire with Intention podcast is about more than just money. It's about embracing the things that truly matter, the experiences, the relationships, and the impact you leave behind. Here is your host, John Creekmore.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back in and hanging out with us for a little while today. And I'll tell you what, I am so jazzed up to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Jennifer. And I'll tell you what, here on Great Decisions, Incredible Lives, it's all about having you guys meet some friends of mine, to be able to hear stories from them, hear background from them, but also to get you some incredible information so you're in a better spot to make some wise decisions, just to live out your definition of what an incredible life is to you. And I'll tell you what, I am so excited to have Jennifer here today. Jennifer has got a really interesting background, kind of a very diverse background, very interesting, but making huge impact wherever she goes. And Jennifer, we're going to walk through a lot of this story today. And so, hey, Jennifer, thank you for coming on. Would you take a minute just to introduce yourself, your background, and kind of let everyone kind of know who you are?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here, John. I'm thrilled. And hello to all of your friends who are watching along. Super delighted to be here. So I'm Jennifer Cain Birkmose. I'm originally from Oregon. And I am someone who's actually a co-founder and CEO of a company that's been founded here in Chicago, in West Chicagoland. So it's been a really incredible journey, and it's a real love letter to people who are in this age group and beyond, the retirement age and beyond. It is a love letter to people who are older, who are looking to live at home longer. So a love letter because I actually don't live in the US. I live in Switzerland, and I'm sitting here in a city called Basel, Switzerland. And I, like so many people my age, early 50s, right? We can say
I'm there with you. I'm with you.
53, right? So it's my third face, you know.
Right.
So many of us have found ourselves in a situation like I have found where I'm raising children and I have older adults in my life that I'm also caring for, even from a distance. And so this company is a love letter for all of people like us who are wanting to care for our older adults from a distance. So why do I care? Of course, I have an 88-year-old father that I want to care for even from a distance. And also what qualifies me for that? Like I've had a long career as a healthcare executive, both as a diplomat in healthcare, working for the World Health Organization, working for the World Bank abroad and also in the US, but also as a longtime pharmaceutical executive where we developed drugs, and I was a patient advocate and someone who's driving patient access all over the world. And I'm still actually a board member on a company that develops all of the malaria drugs sorry, little beep there, all the malaria drugs that we have in our global pipeline. It's a Bill Gates Foundation project. So all of those things bring me to this, the passion for healthcare, the passion for public health, and the passion for making a difference has brought me here to open this company in Chicago.
Wow. I'll tell you what, incredible passion story. And I mean, it's so oftentimes, I just had a conversation, it was 2 days ago, someone contacted our firm and just walking through that stage of life. He's early 50s, father just passed away, trying to figure out how to care for mom. And we were just talking about, man, it's just such an incredible privilege to kind of be at this point of life where maybe we're still actively involved in the lives of our children, helping to raise our children, and even with young adult children that we have, and helping them transition to young adulthood well. And then on the other side of things, to have the privilege to be able to be there and care for those that cared for us, that had such a huge impact in our lives. It's just an incredible spot to be. And he and I were just kind of talking about what a great privilege it is. And so to hear from someone like yourself with the same passion, that's putting some feet to that, of saying, how do we actually help people, not just inspire them, but practically help them to actually live that out every day. And so it's an incredible resource. Now, so you've got this background as far as in diplomacy. You have a background with the WHO, with the World Health Organization, and being an advocate there, as far as in the pharmaceutical industry, right? But then even you had some time as far as a Second City, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I'm a Second City graduate. So I'm a Second City Improv and Conservatory graduate. So I swear, probably for all of your listeners, like that's the only thing you're going to remember from this whole podcast. Like she's got she's got some project or she's got some company in Chicago that takes care of old people and she's a comedian. Like that's probably all you're going to remember. So here we go. Let's yes and that, right?
That's so great. I'll tell you what, I just late 80s, early 90s, my first introduction to Second City, and I absolutely love spending time there in the past, and not just they do so it's not just going to the club, but they have a phenomenal impact as far as with corporations and as far as in leadership development, leadership training, and so it's a phenomenal thing. So I know that had to have impacted you greatly over the years.
100%. So I think for those of you who know improv or don't know improv, it's literally making something from nothing every single
Mm,
time. So you show up to a show and you have your players, your ensemble with you, and you get some words and then you play it. So you're really truly making something from nothing, and it's alchemy in this ensemble. And I think, yes, it's great to enjoy the theater and enjoy the comedy and to really watch it and to perform it. I think my great passion is actually what we call applied improv, where you take the lessons of improv and you actually apply it into the lessons of corporate life or entrepreneurial life. And in the case of us, also caregiver life. So this is something that we've even done in our companies, that we've been teaching improv to elders themselves. I'm telling you, it is like watching Benjamin Button happen.
well,
It is
seriously,
incredible. So
wow.
it's a gift, really. It's a gift to be able to teach that and to watch what it does.
Yes,
So
yes.
always without any exception, people become more present with each other. People become more creative, more open. We're shaking up that amygdala and we're actually able to create some new wiring in our neurology, and we make new connections. So you feel really connected to the people around you. You feel really hyper focused and you have a good time. You laugh as a result. So I
Wow.
really think it's a fundamental ingredient for all leadership as well, and very much so for caregiving. And it's what we're seeing as we care for elders. So for example, our service providers, our company provides a variety of different services in Chicago, where we provide rides, we provide cleaning services and handyman and in-home tech and also food delivery. We teach our service providers improv techniques, and they
Hmm.
use that with our customers. And our customers are raving fans. They're saying, you always know who I am. You know my history. You always pick up the phone. I couldn't have done it without you. Like I couldn't have done it without Viva Valet, which is our company. I couldn't have got to my surgery. And
Yeah.
by the way, I had fun. So thanks for driving me, Viva Valet. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
so exciting. I love that. I love it. I love it so much that we've brought these together. And I think that we might see something in the future with us with Second City. Well, stay
We'll see
tuned.
how that goes, right?
Stay
I'll tell you,
tuned.
right
I think
now,
we might
I
see
know
something.
people are just like have been searching already as far as online and have your name here as far as if they're listening to our podcast as far as in the video, already have your name there searching for you. So let's kind of take a step back and this is that first CTA here. It's vivavalet.com, right? So it's
That's
VIVAVALET.com. So vivavalet.com. And so that's where they can go to find your site and kind of bookmark that, everybody, to make sure you remember to go back there again. And so, I mean, Jennifer, interesting background, very diverse, and how you brought these things together. And so you kind of mentioned a little bit about incorporating some of the improv into the actual application of your guest, of your host, as far as with your company. And so when you kind of think about it, that's one example. Have you seen some other examples of how your varied experiences and your background, how that shaped your approach to creating and leading Viva Ballet?
100%. I would say that there's not a day when we're not using some of the techniques from the stage,
Hmm.
even in our meetings. So, for example, using techniques to listen and to demonstrate that we're listening.
Hmm.
I think if we're preparing for, let's say, a pitch with an investor or a pitch with a future customer, if we've got a B2B sale that we're going to be executing and we're delivering that, we do character exercises to prepare, to make sure that we're comfortable shaking it out. So we
Sure.
use these tools, again, to really refine the storytelling, the physical presence, I would say even sort of the biochemical presence, like getting ourselves really confident and ready for that as well. But also like the power of yes and. So the first rule of improv is yes and. So you agree with each other and you keep building.
Mm.
So I think number one rule for leadership and for building a company as well is you got to yes and your little heart out every single day, right?
Mm.
So I know with Viva Valet, but also with other companies in the past, we have built entirely new business models for patient access in major top 3 global pharmaceutical companies that allowed us to launch products in emerging markets within 12 months of launching in the US,
Wow.
using the tools of improv to
Yeah.
get there. So we're using those same tools to create services, to create training for our service providers, to have outreach with our customers because we have customer care calls just to make sure they're doing okay. So
Yeah.
a lot of adult children like me, we want to check in on our parents to be like, are you doing okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay? How's it going? Not that I'm calling to sell you anything, but how are you doing? Are you doing all right today? So we do that, and we use a lot of these techniques from the theater, from improv, while
Mm.
we're doing those calls as well. And again, the important thing is it's fun, it's memorable, and people are having a good time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so definitely those are always, always present.
So walk everyone through real fast. If you Valet, we've talked a little bit of philosophy, we talked about your background. Can you put some real clarity as far as to the service offerings? And
Yes.
so, right, so like let's say somebody is saying, hey, I'm navigating life with my parents, with my aunts, my uncles. So can you kind of walk through what does that look like? What services does Viva Valet provide, and in what locations do you all work in?
100%. So first of all, we're a tech company that delivers physical services. So
Okay.
we are a digital concierge. So if you're
Mm.
someone like me and you want to order this for your father or your mother or an older in your life, you can sign up and you can then use the digital concierge service. And so very often, let's say my dad, for example, was in the hospital and we knew that we had to deliver services for him. And then who do you call? Who do you trust? Who do you trust to go into your parents' house? Who do you trust to maybe go and clean if they need that during a
Mhm.
specific time, or give them rides if they need to go to and from physical therapy, for example?
Mhm.
We're doing all this vetting with all of our service providers, 7 layers, like 7-layer dip, 7 layers of vetting to make sure that these people are 100% trustworthy. Those services are rides. They could be assisted rides or sort of normal rides as well. Prepared food delivery. So not like an Uber Eats, but food that's prepared and then you would put in the refrigerator and you'd
Mm.
have for a couple of days. And also cleaning services. We have handyman and plumbing services. And we have just launched this week in-home tech because we've been doing cell phone workshops in the community in Arlington Heights for the last 7 months. And they're so popular. People love it so much. And they have a desire to learn and a curiosity. And so we've built this out as something that we can do inside the home as well. You also asked me where are we operating. We're now currently operating in Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Lake counties,
Mm.
all in Illinois.
Yeah, yeah. So all
Yeah,
Chicagoland. And
all
what are your thoughts
Chicagoland.
then as far as in the future? Do you see yourself expanding outside of greater Chicagoland, or what's the future look like if you have any visibility?
Yeah, 100%. So again, I live outside of the US. So our idea is we want this to be nationwide, 100%. Because whenever we're talking to people like us, they're constantly saying, oh my gosh, when are you going to be in California? When are you going to be in Boston? When are you going to be in Kansas City? When are you going to be in Indiana? Because I
Hmm.
need this for my parents. So we know that the demand is getting pulled and pulled and pulled by adult children so often, so much. So our hope is to go as quickly as possible. We launched commercially in September, so we're still kind of in early days, but we launched original Arlington Heights and Palatine and Barrington, but now we've expanded to that entire population. And again, you could ask, why? Why?
Yeah,
We could have been anywhere. Like we want to be nationwide. Of course we do. For that matter, ex-US as well.
sure.
But why these communities? Why did we launch in Arlington Heights? We actually were digging into the census results and we were looking for the highest concentrations of populations in the US that have olders who are living alone that don't have children living near them. So
Mm.
this is a hot zone for that because a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people, they've grown up and maybe their kids have moved away or they're, maybe living 2 hours away. That was the cut point for us. If you're living 2 hours away from your adult child and you were living alone, very often widowed or separated or divorced, then you might need extra support. We didn't want to start in Florida because in Florida, the whole infrastructure is set up there. We
Right.
wanted to test, does it work in a community that really needs it, that has really extreme needs like this? And that's why we started here. That's why we chose this community. And we're so pleased and so happy to be here.
I mean, Jennifer, I can just think of maybe 100 different families I know that are in the exact situation you talked about in Chicagoland area, and where the kids are living somewhere either out of state, or else they're living somewhere down as far so down in the south in Illinois, and phenomenal resource. I could see there being a huge need, goodness, all around the world. It's just phenomenal when you think about the reach. So with Viva Valet, you guys are kind of at that forefront of revolutionizing the entire aging experience through the use of a technology platform, and then even bringing in some aids or assistance with technology in the home. Can you share that inspiration behind that platform, really, and
Yeah.
how you see it changing the way olders kind of live their lives?
I love this question so much because it is like the beating heart of what it is that we're doing.
Hmm.
Why a digital platform? So if you think about other analogs, like you're going to go on a holiday, you're going to go vacation, you would use Expedia or maybe booking.com, something like that, to just have a really easy experience. You'd say, oh, I want a flight, I want a hotel. You wouldn't go to 5 different airlines or 10, 20 different hotels. You go to this consolidation site because that's where everything is. So we wanted something like that that could give this suite of services, excuse me, that we know the olders would want. Before we designed any of the tech, we did actually 2 months of ethnography. So that means we put cameras in people's homes. We did ethnographic research to understand what are your hopes, fears, dreams, in general about how you want to live your life and how do you relate to technology and how could technology make it easier for you. So we worked with these people to really identify if we're going to create an app, if we're going to create a website, what would that look like? They helped us design it. So
Hmm.
really, it's not just that we did it for them, we actually did it with them. So we
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
user interface, user experience testing all the time. They're actually like in our team. So that means people from 70 to 92 are part of our testing and design teams. So we make sure that it's an easy to navigate interface, easy to book, all these kinds of things. So that was the inspiration for the tech. The silver economy is booming. We know that also because of the research we did independently, but we also see that from the stats, from census, et cetera, people in these age groups, it's the largest group of octogenarians we've ever seen in human history
Hmm.
and beyond. They have resources, they have time, they have their minds, they have their physical capability, they have purpose. And so we want to be able to continue to empower them also with technology beyond our own site, right?
Right.
So one of the things that has been, I think, a frustration or like that mosquito in the net, in the tent, kind of
Yeah.
buzzing feeling in our ear is that, so often you make this association with olders and technology and that they don't mix.
Hmm.
Or even, you said like with your mom, for example, maybe she doesn't like technology, she's afraid of it. And I actually think that's really a whole myth and a bias that we all need to start breaking actively on a daily
Totally
basis.
agree. Totally agree.
Because our experience with our customers, our cell phone workshops, the tech that we're doing, the research that we're doing, how we work with them to develop tech, is that olders are curious, they're willing and wanting to learn all the time,
Hmm.
especially around technology. And if we teach it in the way that they would like to learn, they're really rip-roaring ready to go. And I think that there's a whole market that's out there that's tech for seniors that has not even been scratched. So one thing that was really like bridging the work that I did with the UN in the past, my founder, Mariam Perina, and I were both on the UN Secretary General's Council on Aging. It's just kind of crazy, but we were brought in to advise the Secretary General's office together with AARP to help come up with guidelines for how would you develop tech for olders. So
Hmm.
it's like, how do you manage the digital space? How do you manage the broadband access? How do you design for olders? How do you make sure that you have design inclusivity? We've actually been a part of writing those white papers. So those are on our website also. If you're putting up our website,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can find those on our website. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for that call out again, Jennifer. There on the show notes, we have links as far as to a lot of things Jennifer's talking about. You'll be able to find everything there, links into the website, and even maybe some links into some studies that have been done in the area. And I'll tell you what, Jennifer, I was so fascinated this last 6 months. I started watching a documentary on Netflix called Blue Zones. And it's the blue zones are different areas of the world where there's a heightened length of life, people living over 100 years of age, and doing studies based upon why is that? Why are we seeing that in certain areas, and what things are contributing to that? And so many of the things that you're talking about, we seem to be at this point of time in our history where we see a lot of things coming together. And it's actually leading to not just longer lives, but more vibrant lives for people. And then all of a sudden, then we have these different backgrounds that we have that actually contribute to that. And so to me, it's fascinating that you and I are talking today just about ways that we're seeing olders navigate this next generation. One of our most active users for the client of our firm, from a technology standpoint, is 94 years old. And the phenomenal, and she's bringing things out. My mother-in-law, 78 years old, no background in technology. Last year, she developed her own online store to sell sporting goods with a complete distribution system, fully functioning logistics. And she goes, I don't know how to do this, but she has sat down and figured it out. And so it's fascinating to see that all coming together at this time. And so whenever we talk about that, we have all these initiatives. You mentioned the malaria venture, and we have different interactions from your background. How do you see this intersection of global health initiatives and technology? How do you see that playing out and improving care for olders?
So I'm happy to answer that, but that company that your mom developed, make sure you put that in the show notes as well. Like, we want to make sure that we can all visit mom's online shop, because that's really inspiring. Your 78-year-old mother who's an entrepreneur now, a tech entrepreneur at 78, like, this is what we're going for.
Right, right.
Yeah, exactly. So the marriage of tech, of global health, of public health, and I think also senior health, I think they're all coming together. And it's really for the first time in history where we have these large populations who do have a lot of reserves in terms of finance.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have the expectation to live longer. They have the will to live longer. They're feeling the sense of purpose and yearning for a sense of purpose and having a sense of purpose. And then the technology is really finding ways to leapfrog a lot of the things that we're trying to achieve. It'd be a global health, for example, in Africa, payment systems, remote monitoring, blood labs and things like this, all being able to be transmitted digitally. Very, very easy. So much easier in terms of diagnostics, in terms of tracking from a malaria perspective, tracking weather patterns, and then being able to more effectively forecast where we're going to have hot zones for malaria there, where we have to have chemo prevention to protect the kids, the children under 5, the children under 10, and also pregnant women. So technology, drone delivery, in some cases, you don't have physical infrastructure to be able to actually even deliver the goods. So you've got actually new ways that we can do this, and also new power sources as well in terms of extracting energy from solar as well as wind on the continent. I think that from a global health perspective, we're seeing a lot of that around malaria. I think for older health, the quantified self, with these things like all these things that measure how we are, like our step trackers, this beautiful Aura ring that I wear that measures my heartbeat right now and tells me how
Right.
my heart's racing, for example, or my sleep quality. We are also bringing to market things like apps that will help you track your mood, not a disease state necessarily, but how are you actually feeling, in a way that you can have a more educated and prepared conversation with your doctor. Obviously, digital medical records, these kinds of things make it so much easier to be more transportable across the healthcare systems and across different care centers as well. But we see this all the time. And I think we're going to continue to see leaps and bounds in terms of digital biology, in terms of some more digital diagnostics, remote diagnostics. I think even augmented reality and virtual reality. I mean, one of my big things is that very likely in the future, why will people go to a place where a lot of sick people are if they have a well visit? You could stay home. You could put on your AR, VR set. You can have your remote doctor consult you. You'll have a lot of telemetry that will be around you in your self-driving car. So, all these things are also part of a future that once sounded like a science fiction future, but actually is now more and more of a reality that's coming to us. And it will benefit the olders so very much. And the reason why is a huge concern we have in the US healthcare system is we're losing about a third of healthcare workers. That means doctors, nurses, all attendants, everyone who's actually in the system. We're seeing a permanent exit between last year up to 2025 of about 30%, because people are burned out after COVID. So we need to have these new solutions that will actually leapfrog. Some of those are going to be technology, yes. These little robots that we have that are developing, softer skins and tissues that could actually be attendant robots, and also little things that could have robotic qualities that will help us, assisting us, and mostly olders as well, to get around and navigate safely in a home. It's also why we're positioned in this space as well, because we know that it's not only robots will be providing these services. We need to find a way to mobilize our community. So one thing that we're particularly proud of and how we're using technology in our technology platform in the center is that we're able to call up and find trustworthy, trusted, reliable services that can deliver for your olders. We aren't actually, we're contracting people in the community. So people who know the community already, and we give them training. They have to go through training to care for olders. They have to pass exams. They have to do test exams. We have all these background checks, and we're constantly checking to make sure that they're safe. So those kinds of things, that's how we're using technology also to monitor our own people, our own services. And then we give feedback. So at the end of the visit as well, our service providers can say, hey, mom's doing great today. Or actually, something was strange in mom's house. There was a window that was broken. We're concerned. Look, we need to let your kids know, so we can give that information and feedback back to the adult children to take action.
I love that. And I mean, when you kind of think about even society growth and generational trends, and we know from 1946 to 1964, we had this baby boom population that was born. And so the front edge of that is, oh goodness, 46. So that's actually pushing 78 years of age this year in 1964. Those that are turning 60 this year. So that age segment has influenced society every single step of the way. We know there's 10,000 people every single day turning age 65 right now. And so that generation is going to be impactful. And so when I think about that, I think about entrepreneurs out there, whether it be technology or otherwise, that are seeing this space as really an opportunity to increase service to have an impact in people's lives with one of the largest population segments ever born. And so when you think about that, as far as just entrepreneurs in this space and as far as in the age tech space, what advice can you give? I know we have a number of different CEOs of tech companies that listen to this show every single week. And so what advice, being now experienced in this area, what advice can you give to them?
So the advice I would give is, especially if you're tech, but I would say for anything, if you're going to be designing something with olders in mind, my advice would be, think big, dream big, pause for a moment with your idea in your head. Please go explore the problem that you're trying to solve and understand the reality of the customer you wish to serve. So for us, what we did was we decided, instead of designing tech and writing code right away, we actually spent months working with olders, understanding at their eye level, watching them, observing them, talking to them, understanding their hopes, their dreams, their fears, and how they want to interact with their community, with their families, in their life, in their homes, and how technology could be a hurdle or how it could help them. And we observed a lot of the don't do's. And so often people have said to me, oh, you're making tech for seniors. It means you just use a lot of big techs, right? No, absolutely not. We're talking different neurological pathways. We're talking different choice, reducing choice, making it much clearer, cleaner kind of interfaces. So I would say really think about that. Also, if you're really in the tech space and you want to start developing for seniors, please do go to our website, www.vivavalet.com, and go to our blogs and find our research, and find the white papers that we have from the UN, where we've advised the UN Secretary General on how to design for olders, because that's also part of kind of the thought leadership that we have, that we've been doing the research and we've been trying to get ahead of all of this.
Yeah, that's great advice for really anyone that's out there as far as an entrepreneur looking at a business, is to really understand who you're working with, and don't develop something where you don't have understanding of who the end user is. So that is phenomenal counsel. Jennifer, thank you for that. All of a sudden I looked down, I was like, man, we've been talking for quite some time. I think you and I can have a conversation on this topic forever, it seems like. And so I appreciate that. So as we're kind of wrapping things down, is there anything, Jennifer, we have not talked about that's kind of like, man, I really want to leave this in people's minds as something to think through, or a story? Is there anything out there you want to leave with people?
I think the thing I would say is get involved in the older space. And if you have an older in your life, call them. If you have a great uncle or an uncle or your mom or your dad, give them a call. We know that the most unhealthy decision that we can ever take in our life isn't smoking. It's not eating all the sugar. It's actually retiring.
Mm.
Reason why is that we lose social connection
Yep.
and we lose purpose.
Hmm.
And so what you were talking about earlier around the blue zones is one common theme across all those geographies is people keep a purpose. They keep physically active. Yes, they're clearly like lifting weight-bearing things, but they keep integrated in their communities. So if you can do one thing today, call your mom, call your dad, reach out, just say thanks. How you doing? And also, this is something we've been talking about even today. When you encounter an older who maybe isn't your own relative, and that person's 78 years old. That person is 78 today, but they've also been 77 and 50 and 45 and 30 and 15 and a naughty 13-year-old that was walking around the backyard here. So what that means is very often we look at olders and they feel, and they often in our society become invisible. They start to look and behave or feel, or we look upon them with inconsequence. And these people have won the genetic lottery to live to this life. So we owe it to them to really revere them and honor that and celebrate that. And also say, I see all those ages that you have. So enjoy them and celebrate the naughty teenager that they are, the twinkle in their eye, or the executive that they were at 40, or the person who was joyful at the age of 65, maybe celebrating their first grandchild. All of those people live inside of them, and honor that and see that in each older. And then we'll see, I think we treat them better as well. And I think we're going to be more integrated with them. We continue to learn more and also treat them with more respect.
Yeah, Jennifer, I love that. That is such great wisdom in that statement. Thank you so much for that. Very impactful. And I want to thank you for spending time with me today and really for just giving a lot of people a first-time introduction to Viva Valet as a company, but really the passion behind it. And so thank you so much for that. Everyone, show notes is a great spot to find connections with Jennifer's company and this information about just olders and walking through that from a tech standpoint. Just phenomenal solution, great way to share and care. And so, Jennifer, thank you so much for spending time with me. Love it. And
Thanks, John.
everybody, thank you so much for spending time with
you.
Jennifer and I today. And be sure to check things out next week. We drop the next episode right here of Great Decisions, Incredible Lives, and look forward to chatting with you all next time. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you again for listening to the Great Decisions, Incredible Lives, Retire with Intention podcast with host John Creekmer. Follow us on social media, visit our website, and join our community of like-minded individuals redefining retirement and living incredible lives. Please leave us a review and share our podcast with others who may benefit. We wish you a future filled with purpose, fulfillment, and the joy of living your incredible life in retirement.